So did John explain how this all works?
Not really, but I'm a quick learner.
Okay. Well, John, we'll just start. Do you want to tell me anything before we start?
No, I thought I could start singing the Patty Duke theme, though. Here's Kathy, who's lived most everywhere, from Zanzibar to Berkeley Square.
I was going to tell you.
But Patty's only seen the sights a girl can see from Brooklyn Heights. What a crazy pair.
Have you listened to this show?
They're cousins, identical cousins.
Was that it? I don't know.
That's it. I'll stop now. Anymore, we might get charged.
Miss Castle, have you listened to this show?
No.
It's the Seti Bimco Show with your hosts, Tim and John. Please remain very calm, unless it's Friday. In that case, remain very nervous.
John, it's the Seti Bimco Show. I think it's episode 19, but I'm not going to keep track anymore.
Yeah, I've lost track.
This is the show where we talk about high school weirdness or tragedies in real life and in movies. And this week, you picked a movie all about high school that we're going to talk about. But first, we have your special guest. Tell us all about her.
Well, yes. Today we're going to be talking about the Patty Duke Show reunion movie, Still Rockin' in Brooklyn Heights from 1999. But I just have to say, as accomplished as Patty Duke was, may she rest in peace, the number one Patty in my life is my mom, Pat Castler, who's joining us today to talk about her kind of sort of connection with Patty Duke.
Okay.
All right.
Your family has all sorts of connections. You're connected to Mr. Gregory Peck, and your mom has this Patty Duke connection.
Very minimal.
Okay.
But would you like me to get into it and tell you how this all occurred?
Well, should we do the setup about where you went to high school?
Well, I'll tell it. You weren't there.
I've heard about it enough.
Okay.
I feel like I was there.
Well, no. So in the 60s, I attended the Academy of St. Ursula, and it was in Kingston, New York, on the Hudson River, and it was run by not the Ursuline nuns, it was the Sisters of St. Ursula, the Blessed Virgin. They were founded by Anne de Santonge out of France. And they also it was a convent school for girls, but they had a sister school in New York City on West 79th Street, a brownstone, and that was called Notre Dame High School, run by the same nuns. So this was exclusively for girls. And just a tidbit, I looked it up before I came. They sold the brownstone in New York, got big bucks for it. And now they're down in the meatpacking district. But when I went there, the tuition was $200 a year. Plus you bought your books and your uniforms. And they were kind of pricey. But now the tuition is $16,500 plus an additional $550 in fees. So I guess I don't know if it's become more exclusive or that, but it was a wonderful school.
Well, this school is now in the meatpacking district. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
It's in the village.
Because that's like a nightclub district now. It's all fancy.
13th Street.
Well, but during the day, it's an all-girls Catholic school.
Yeah.
At night, it becomes a nightclub.
Well, we don't know about that now.
And then during the day, it becomes an all-girls Catholic school.
Yeah, well, this is just a little background on this. This school wasn't affiliated with the church, so they were totally independent financially. So they ran the school right from kindergarten through 12th grade. But at one point, their numbers dwindled with the nuns, and they needed money. They decided they'd sell the brownstone, probably 20 years ago, and they got a big price for it. And that's when they moved down to 13th Street. What we would do is we would go down to Notre Dame, and they would come up by bus to our school, and the girls would play basketball. We'd go to plays. Now, I personally never had a conversation with Patty Duke, but I did see her a few times, and I think she only was there like for 1 year, because then she got affiliated with those, they sent her to that artsy school or
Scientology?
No, not Scientology, but professional school. But she was rather dramatic. She was a little thing, short, maybe 5 foot tall.
Well, was this after she was on TV?
No, this is before.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, my claim to fame is I didn't know her as an actress, and she doesn't know me from a hill of beans, But anyway, I would see her. I don't think she ever spoke to me. But the nuns would tell us they were having their hands full with her because she wouldn't do her homework, but tell them that it blew into the East River. The window was open at her apartment. And she was really quite an actress then before she really became one.
Yes.
But, and that's really, I'm sorry to tell you that I don't know anymore. I mean, I ran into her a few times, but I'm not going to make it up and say that we had a friendship or, like I said, she wouldn't know me.
But I have a question for John.
Oh.
Did your mom come to do the show just to get the free food in the green room?
She did, yes, actually. She did. She heard about the green room.
Yeah.
Actually, my mother walked into the apartment today with, was it ravioli?
Ravioli, yeah.
My mother never comes to this. Now, I never go hungry.
I'm kidding you, Miss Kessler.
That's fine. That's fine. And really, I'm old, but I'm pretty normal. My life hasn't been, I'd like to tell you, make a big story that I knew her and that we hung around together. I didn't really know her. I knew her father drove a cab. He was an Irishman and he had the curse of the Irish. He was a drinker. But other than that, that's all I can tell you. And she was pretty regular looking. And I never watched her shows and I never went to see the Helen Keller movie. I knew the plot.
Oh, my goodness. I love that movie.
And
were you boycotting that movie?
No. And I really did. But money, I had to babysit for my money. I wasn't wasting it on something like that when I could go see Gone with the Wind again,
Helen Keller went to see the movie.
Or they shoot horses.
Yeah.
Helen Keller went to see the movie, but they really couldn't get it at her what she thought of it.
Well, you mentioned they shoot horses, don't they? Did you mention that movie?
Yes,
that's because you mentioned with John.
About Mary Lenahan.
His aunt was at one time a professor at St. Joseph's College in Brooklyn, and she took him thinking it was a Western. They were home in no time.
Yeah, we've covered that. We've covered that story a couple episodes.
I know John's life story.
Oh, you do?
All the tragedies.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. And there have been a lot for me, too. And I really have 3 sons. I love them all. They've never been in trouble with the law, to the best of my knowledge. I would check the paper every night. They never made the papers. But at times, as they grew up, I became a little pensive and thought it would have been better if I raised pigs. They grow up, you kill them and eat them.
What?
But I do love him dearly, kind of.
I don't know why I had to be in therapy.
But
I registered.
I've had a pretty mundane life, but anytime you'd like me back, I could tell you about all my 31 years.
Well, I would
like Auburn prison.
31 years on Mars?
Yeah.
31 years in prison. Oh, never mind. I thought you meant 31 years.
I would like you, if John ever wants to have you talk about the prison stories, that would be fun, but I thought you might get in trouble. I don't want them to hear you telling stories out of school.
No. And they know.
Oh, but they know people.
But that inmate
they know people.
It was my
all
only
they need is Pardon me?
It was my only marriage proposal, that guy that was getting out in 75 years and said we'd get married at Yankee Stadium because he knew I liked the Yankees. And I told him, come to the cemetery, I'll be waiting for you when you get out. But, he died. So it's okay,
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
And I will tell you, I did have a conversation once, though, because I haven't met a lot of people. I met Ray Liotta in person once, and he had the most beautiful blue eyes, and I'm sorry he passed away last week. And also, I met at the prison Paul Simon. He came to visit.
Why was he there?
His band member, I think it was a drummer, was doing time there. It wasn't anything big. It was only like murder. Was
he the drummer from the Muppet movie?
I don't know.
Do you remember the drummer from the Muppet movie murdered his mother? You told me this. Did you make that up,
that's
John?
right. Bludgeoned her to death with a hammer and stabbed her.
It might have been.
No, that was out in California.
Oh, so anyway, he was a lot shorter than he even looked in person, but he spoke with me, and That was my only claim to fame.
Well, also on the show, we talk about embarrassing high school moments. Don't you have a story about getting a demerit and something about galoshes being checked off when going to chapel at St. Ursula?
No, every day we had to wear, if it was raining out, we had to have rubbers on our feet.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if you forgot them, you had to come in and outline an encyclopedia on a Saturday. So what I would do, if we had friends there that were around the same shoe size, one would put one on the left, one would put it on the right, and we kind of walk in unison so they wouldn't notice it in the middle. There were no rubbers on those shoes.
Oh, smart.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you got caught once.
Yeah, I did get caught a couple times, but yeah.
But what did you have to do with the encyclopedia? Did you have to write? You mean copy the encyclopedia?
We had to kind of outline part of it, what we thought, different things. You had to do like 6 hours worth, Yeah. Just a little synopsis of the things. It was,
What about that?
It was just ridiculous.
What about the time you stole Patty Duke's lunch?
The time you threw her homework into the East River.
Yes,
No,
I think you threw her homework in the river. I'm starting to put this all together.
And her name then, I think they were calling her Patty. Yeah, she wasn't Anna then.
She couldn't use her real name. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because her family had sent her to live with these other people.
The Rosses,
Yeah. So she had, troubles.
I know. I read about all the
And I think
troubles.
she died in Idaho. I mean, she had sepsis, I think. But I didn't go to the funeral, and I wasn't notified.
You weren't asked to give a eulogy?
No.
Oh, wow. I thought that would have been like right at the top of Patty Duke's last will and testament.
And Tim, you can edit this all out, but I have been told by several people that I'm a very good storyteller.
You are. So is John.
Yeah. Well, it's the Irish in us,
I get it from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's the Irish.
Well, it's been a pleasure seeing you, and give my best to Jean. Is Jean home tonight?
Not yet. She would say hi to you and thank you again for that nice dinner. Yes, she was waving at
Are the mosquitoes getting her yet, or no? It's too early.
Yes, they have. But we had a nice dinner at your house. She was waving at bugs, but I think she was just pretending. She just does that. She's used to doing it in restaurants until they give her free drinks, and they're like, "Stop!"
That's what that was about. Oh yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
I told her.
I'm sorry, I didn't offer enough.
This meal is free. You don't have to do this for the drinks. All right.
Okay.
Well,
so I can. All right. It was a pleasure seeing you, Tim. You're looking good.
It was a pleasure to see you too.
All right. Goodbye now. Sayonara. So long.
So that was a great segment with your mother.
My mom. I love her to death. Even if she wished she could have raised pigs instead. That's fine.
I think she got on the show just to get some some food out of the green room.
There you go. But she left food in the green room too. There's some ravioli, so that's fine. My mother's convinced that, I guess I don't eat. My refrigerator is full with food,
So we will. Can you hear that helicopter? What's going on?
I've heard it a couple times. Has it been kind of circling your neighborhood?
That could be.
Because I heard it earlier too. Maybe there's a hostage situation in your neighborhood, Tim.
Could be. That could be.
Like some sort of the Weather Underground, like some radical group from the 60s. They're in their 80s. It's their last gasp when they're making their last stand in Brooklyn.
In this neighborhood, it would be a underground group of MAGA people doing something.
Oh, jeez.
Tables have turned.
The tables have turned.
We have a lot to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about.
And you picked this movie, so I would like you to give your little whatever statement you have. If you have a synopsis, you want to explain what we were watching, what we watched.
Yes, we are. We watched the Patty Duke reunion movie from 1999. It was called The Patty Duke Show, Still Rockin' in Brooklyn Heights. And for anybody who's not familiar with The Patty Duke Show, Patty Duke. Well, first let's start about Patty Duke. We were talking about Patty Duke, how she went to Notre Dame, I guess, for 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In and then went to the professional children's school. She wound up winning an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for The Miracle Worker. At the time, she was the youngest person ever to win a competitive Oscar until Tatum O'Neal broke the record like 10 or 11 years later. And, that was a pretty big deal. She was 16 years old, won an Academy Award, rising star. So Sidney Sheldon, who was in the end of his career was a novelist, but he created some really good TV shows like I Dream of Genie and Heart to Heart. Wow. And anyway, he created this show for her, and they called it the Patty Duke Show, where she played both Patty and Kathy Lane. The premise was that they were cousins, identical cousins. And the premise was that they were identical cousins because their fathers were identical twin brothers.
Identical, right.
Right. Martin and Kenneth Lane were identical twin brothers, played by...
Now, I never watched... Yes. Go ahead.
No, you never watched it? Well, I'm going to be upfront with you. I never watched it until it ran on, like, whatever, Nick at Night or TV Land, whatever was running in the 90s. That's the first time. I
never watched it then either.
I was aware there was a Patty Duke show. It's probably one of those things. I was in college waiting tables, and probably when I got out of work, it would be on. Not that I would like purposely look for the Patty Duke show, but it got kind of addicting.
But the father, played by
William Shallert,
did he play the Scottish father in the show?
No, I think he was American. They were both Americans. The premise was that Martin Lane, Patty's father, was the managing editor of the New York Chronicle, which was a fictional newspaper. His twin brother, Kenneth, was the foreign correspondent based in London. Yeah. And William Shallert did play his twin brother. I believe I saw in the history, it was 3 episodes in the first season and 1 episode in the third and final season. Now, William Shallert was one of those character actors. I mean, he worked his entire career. Even after doing this show, he didn't really get typecast. But this is kind of in your wheelhouse, Tim. He played... are you... Oh, come on.
Deep Space Nine.
Well, he did do Deep Space Nine. He did the original series.
He did everything. But
he played, was it Niels Boraz in perhaps one of the most iconic Star Trek original series episodes ever, The Trouble with Tribbles?
Oh, I totally forgot that. Yes. I've seen him so much.
Well, he used to do the Smucker's Jam commercials. Was it Smucker's Jam? He did a lot of voiceovers. That voice was just because it was very kind of American pop, what I mean? Like American Dad, it was very calm and soothing. And just William Shallert was always a very, and ironically, both William Shallert and Patty Duke both served as presidents of the Screen Actors Guild.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
They bookended.
You said many good TV shows, and I have to say, I Dream of Genie, I don't know. It's good when you're a child.
Well, maybe I should have said popular, iconic.
Yes, popular.
It was the...
Because I went down when I realized, I didn't realize he created Patty Duke. I knew he created I Dream of Genie, and I went down a rabbit hole and read about Larry Hagman's behavior on the set of I Dream of Genie. I don't know if you know about this.
Was he blaming it on the drinking?
Well, he was drinking, and his psychiatrist said, you know what will help with your drinking? If I prescribe LSD and pot. I guess so. But if I read all this stuff on the set, Larry Hagman, if he didn't like a script, he took a page from Theo Peck's book and vomited on the set. Oh. Or he would urinate on the set. It sounds like he was terrible to deal with on the show. But when the camera started, he just did his lines, did his job, and they're like, well, I guess we'll keep him. This was way back.
As long as that was all he had to do, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and Barbara Eden never had a bad word to say about him. I'll be damned. What do you know? But
That's yeah. I know I think Cary Grant was prescribed LSD. Of course, back then it was legal. It was actually prescribed by. It was this mind-opening drug used in. They're actually talking about bringing mushrooms back as to use in different forms of therapy. I've read. Basically the premise. So the Patty Duke show ended after 3 seasons. It's kind of sad though how they filmed it in New York because California had stricter child labor laws, and in California she could only work 5 hours a day, and not only because she was the star of the show, but she was playing 2 roles. She was working 12 hours a day.
Yes,
so she could get away with that in New York, but she couldn't at the time. But she couldn't get away with that in California. Then once she turned 18, they talked about moving it to Los Angeles. But at that point, she was kind of over the show. I think her undiagnosed bipolar at the time was really kind of in high gear. And also they said the producers didn't want to spend the money to switch over to color.
Yes.
And ABC wanted all the shows. ABC wanted all the shows to be colorized. That 60, whatever it would have been, 65, 66, or 64, 65 seasons. So 3 seasons, they were done. They had they had just over 100 episodes. So they had syndication, and that was the end of the Patty Duke show.
That was that.
Right.
We've told a sad tale, John. Now it's time to be funny.
No, I thought it was kind of funny. I thought that, hey, Larry Hagman urinating on between takes on I Dream of Genie. I mean, that's comic gold, Tim.
It is.
And I didn't know that, and I thought I knew everything.
Well, I read it on the internet, so I should check around, make sure there's at least a couple people that saw that.
I mean, Tim, if it's on the internet, it's probably true, don't you think?
I think so.
You don't really need to re-verify that.
But I have a statement about this movie to make.
Okay, go ahead, Tim. May I just preface this by saying, I know the movie was crap. I picked these movies because they're crap. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so this movie is terrible, and nobody should watch it. But I wanted to say that sometimes we pick these movies. It's just a catalyst for John and I to talk and have fun. But some movies we watch, like Exorcist 2, I think people wanted to make something and it just went terribly wrong.
Right.
And then there's a movie like this Patty Duke movie, which must have been some people saying, hey, we can make some money if we get together and do this for, I don't know. Was this on the Hallmark channel?
No, it was actually on CBS.
I can't believe that. So Hallmark.
Here is the funny thing. We did kind of have the feel of a Hallmark movie. Here's the thing about that. The series originally aired on ABC, but they did the TV movie on CBS. And I don't know what version you saw. I don't know if it was Prime Video or there were some sites that were like, we're going to charge me $5.99 to watch this. I was like, no,
it was free on.
It was free on YouTube. However, it was from the CBS affiliate in Detroit, Channel 62. I don't know if that's still the affiliate. In 1999, apparently Channel 62 in Detroit was a CBS affiliate. So not only did I get interrupted with YouTube commercials, which were mine were on the way, but we're all about Riverside FM. Then you had to watch the original commercials from 1999. Although there was that funny...
And were these commercials warning you about Y2K? Were they trying to sell you computer discs to protect you from Y2K?
We were ignorant. Here's the funny part about it, because I was working for the phone company at the time, and all I heard was Y2K, Y2K. And I understood why it was going to happen, because of everything turning 0000. But they never actually explained actually what was going to happen. Maybe planes were going to fall out of the sky. But they weren't really sure what was going to happen. And then when it kind of, really nothing happened.
Well, John, I would say maybe it was a slow Y2K, because look what has happened since. Well,
I don't think that anything. I don't think that had anything to do with computers. I think that it just had. I think that had something to do with the most dangerous animal of all, man.
Yes.
I think that was wired within us. So yes, but you know what? Here's the thing about this movie, though. I will say, Tim, it looked like they had fun making it. The actors, it looks like they had a lot of fun because they got Patty Duke back, and they got
people who hadn't acted since 1969.
Exactly, they were so excited.
They were.
Paul O'Keefe, who played the brother, the only thing I had seen him in, the last thing he had been in was like a bit role in this movie called Child's Play in 1972. He was probably over the moon that finally 27 years later he was going to get a paycheck.
Right.
Acting, granted, it was probably only like SAG minimum. They probably paid him like $328 a day, whatever SAG minimum was at that time. But he was head over heels. So they got a lot of the original cast back. They got Patty Duke back. Well, obviously, you couldn't have a Patty Duke reunion movie without Patty Duke. You know, that kind of wouldn't and then the role of Patty Duke will be, it just wouldn't work out, you know. And they had William Shallert, who played the father, and they had they had everybody. They had Gene Byron, who played the mother, Paul O'Keefe, who played Eddie Applegate, who played the boyfriend. The person they couldn't get back was the villainous Sue Ellen, played by Kitty Sullivan.
So she was played by
Laverne and Shirley, Cindy Williams. So the premise is that
it did. Wait a minute, John.
Okay. This is going to be a 2-hour episode between my mother and setting up this movie. This is going to be like a mini series.
Well, as most people probably know, Patty plays both her and her twin cousin, and the only thing to enjoy at all, because the movie's terrible, I was watching to see, are they going to do split screen all the time? Or are they in 1999? Can they was CG? Well, they CG'd Jurassic Park. I was like, are they going to CG them together? Right. And I have to say, I don't think they ever spent money CGing them together, and I think they barely were in the same room together to do the parts, except when they met and they did the almost funny reenactment of the Marx Brothers mirror scene. They didn't really try that hard.
Right, which is actually a callback to which they had recycled from the Marx Brothers in the first episode of the series back in 1963. That's actually how.
Oh, did they do this?
That's how the two identical cousins met in the pilot, I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they would have met in the pilot.
So
they did that old grad show.
I didn't get the joke.
Yeah, so yes, that was the original meeting in the original series. Lucille Ball actually did it with Harpo Marx in I Love Lucy. Yes. I think when Lucy went to Hollywood.
I don't know when, but I remember she did it.
It was somewhere between the time she set her nose on fire next to William Powell and stole John Wayne's footprints from Grauman's Chinese Theater. It was like one of those, it was kind of between one of those episodes, I think.
You know those episodes well.
Yeah. So
when we had, I feel like we have to catch up. When we had, a few weeks ago, we had Theo Peck on, and we were talking about Cindy Williams. Mm-hmm. What did you think of his theory of Laverne and Shirley was that they were two Jewish women?
Tim, are you sure you don't have a meth lab in your building? Because that helicopter is getting awfully low.
But Theo Peck had a theory that Laverne and Shirley were two Jewish women who couldn't reveal they were Jewish.
They were,
he had a lot of time to think about Laverne and Shirley, I think.
Well, there were only 3 channels back then.
This is going nowhere.
There were only 3 channels back then, so maybe he did have a lot of time. Maybe if he had more variety in his television viewing as he would today, he wouldn't have even had the time to think about that.
No. But anyway, that went nowhere. What were you going to say?
No, that was fine.
Oh, you think people want to know the plot? Tell them this plot.
Well, I mean, I could get the plot done in 90 seconds, and we could be, okay, thank you for joining us. See you next time on the Seti Bimco Show. Because it would literally, 90 seconds would probably be a waste of time explaining the plot.
Yeah.
But anyway, the premise is that Patty Lane, one of the identical cousins, the American identical cousin, she is married and divorced her high school sweetheart, who was the actor from the original run of the series. Yes. And I wasn't quite sure what she was at the school, they kind of revealed that a little.
True.
She was the English and drama teacher. It's like, what does she exactly do at this school?
That's right, drama.
But then they did reveal that she was the English and drama teacher. And Brooklyn Heights High School is on the chopping block. If they do not raise the money, if they cannot match the state matching funds, Brooklyn Heights High School, which I'm sure doesn't exist. Because first of all, I was very curious. Like, did they spend the money to do this in New York? And I watched the whole thing. No, they go to the ferry. That's not Staten Island Ferry, not New York Bridges. Anyway, they probably filmed this in Vancouver. But continue. Probably. I didn't see any notes on the production. And so they've got to come up with it. I never heard of such a thing where a public school would have to come up with the money to match the matching state funds. True. But anyway, but that was the premise, and the school was going to shut down unless they had to raise $500,000. That's the number they came up with.
And she had a fundraiser going on with
Patty was going to have this fundraiser, and there's going to be a basketball game, and there's going to be an art auction, and there's going to be a celebrity dance, I think. Song and dance, but she has no celebrities booked yet. And oddly, they've got a week to do this. Like, somebody just told them the week before that, oh, yeah, by the way, you got to come up with $500,000 or we're going to shut down the school.
She did have Larry Hagman as a celebrity, but he urinated everywhere. Just the cost went up.
Then he started pot and dropping acid, and he was urinating everywhere. And they're like, no. Thank you, Larry. We'll pay you for your time.
Square one.
Back to square one. Patty. So Patty is all gung-ho to save this school, and her arch rival, Sue Ellen, played this time by Laverne and Shirley's Cindy Williams, is going to turn the school into a shopping mall with Luggage World and the Roger Corman Studio Store.
I've been waiting to get to that. The Roger Corman Studio Store. Where did that come from? That was the best part of the movie. That was the only thing.
Before I go on, okay, so not knowing, because I don't check the credits on these movies, I'm like, oh yeah, the Patty Duke reunion movie, still rocking in Brooklyn Heights, why not? It winds up being in the SETI-verse because the writer of Patty Duke, Still Rocking in Brooklyn Heights, is one Neil Israel, who co-wrote with Pat Prophet the Ringo TV movie from 1970. I had no clue, Tim. And I was like,
I thought you picked it because of that.
No, I had no clue. And all of a sudden it comes up, written by Neil Israel. And I'm like, where do I know that name? He was one of our. So I'm like checking Psychomania. Nope. Mazes and Monsters. Nope.
I was doing the same thing.
I was like, Ringo.
I think I remember Ringo.
I had to go back through our episodes and see what was it. And they bastardized a Mark Twain story. I'm like, maybe it was Ringo. And sure enough, Neil Israel.
But he must be friends like everybody. Roger Corman knows every director.
Oh yeah.
So, but that was the weirdest.
But not everybody would get that joke. Not even back then. No, anyway. Not everybody would get that joke. And I just thought that was actually the best line of the whole movie. And the Roger Corman Studio Store.
It was all downhill from there.
So, anyway,
we should say her whole family. Oh, go ahead.
No, her whole family has returned. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but they have a big secret. I want to set this up. We'll get to it, but the whole time, we got a big secret. Don't tell her.
Right.
And they're
I thought the big secret was that her identical twin, Kathy, was coming over from Scotland.
No, that wasn't a surprise.
I thought that was the big surprise. That would have been a really big surprise. So anyway, Kathy
much bigger than what it turns out to be. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. So Kathy,
why is Kathy coming?
I guess to see the big surprise when she does get it.
Oh, right.
I'm guessing, right. but the big surprise takes 15 seconds at the end of the movie, but we'll get to it eventually. So,
I don't know if she was fleeing Scotland. They don't have treachery laws over there, did they?
Treachery, or was that around the time there was that mass shooting? I don't know. And she had to get out real quick.
And she has a son. We don't know anything about her husband. Oh, I guess he died. They just say, sorry about your husband.
Yes, he passed away. Well, of course, she was the good girl in the series, so of course she would not divorce. Patty and her husband, also her boyfriend from high school, they stayed together for 27 years, but then for some reason they split. But it was an amicable split, and they get along. And they're already grandparents, and the daughter's already in high school. And I was kind of trying to do the math on that. I guess unless everybody started having kids at 18,
it works out.
I guess it does work out, or maybe even early 20s. So Patty's got a granddaughter living with her. The son, the girl's father, does come back. The mother never makes an appearance. She's off on assignment somewhere. And but there's something I noticed at the end of the movie that I will bring up too. And so anyway, so Kathy and her son come back.
Which is a part of the movie where it was like an external shot, airplanes at the airport. And I remember it's like, oh, something exciting finally.
Yeah.
It's just like
airplanes. Airport in Nova Scotia, although it probably wasn't
so
Nova Scotia.
Boring.
It was probably like Albany Airport. You know what I mean? It was probably like the airport in Albany.
Yes.
Anyway, so they have this, wonderful reunion. The reunion with the mirror scene from the the villain, Cindy Williams, announces to the faculty that that's when she does the Roger Corman Studio Store. Right. And Patty, who is trying to rehearse Romeo and Juliet, why you try to put together a production of Romeo and Juliet in a week, I have no idea, but that's what she was going to do. And,
with two kids from the 1950s.
With two kids from, and those Brooklyn accents. What do you think of those Brooklyn accents? But anyway.
Didn't know what was going on with that.
I don't know what was going on either. I think they just got two really attractive young actors, and they said, "Could you do a Brooklyn accent?" Yeah, sure, I can do a Brooklyn accent. They're like, it'll do. You look good on camera, so we'll just. And you're going to work cheap because you're an unknown. Right. So Kathy comes in pretending to be Patty because Patty is still at the rehearsal and she's forgotten about the meeting, and she has this big showdown with Cindy Williams, and they still haven't met. So. Kathy leaves and she goes to use the ladies' room, and Patty is rushing to her meeting, but it's letting out, and everybody's going, "You were fantastic. You were fantastic." Yes. But we like your hair better when it was up, because everybody thought Kathy was she. And then they have the reunion scene with the mirrors.
Right. May I say, at the beginning of that meeting, because there were a lot of lines in this film that didn't make a lot of logical sense, but if you remember, the thing that struck me at the meeting was to say, I'm sorry to say, but if we don't raise our funds, the school, did you say the school will be closing next year?
Next semester.
He was like, next semester. Yeah. And the teachers like, oh dear. And he says, and we may have to fire some of you. And they're like, oh, what? And I'm like, well, yeah, the school's closing down. What were they? They were surprised at that.
They thought with seniority they'd get jobs, and maybe they could bump out people with less seniority at the other school.
I don't know, but there's no school.
It's
like we're shutting the school, and also we're firing you.
But it's a public school, so I was wondering if they would just get sent out to other schools and they would bump people with less seniority.
I guess
is I think how it should work. But then again, let's not dwell too much on reality in this movie and what should be and what shouldn't be, or we'll just drive ourselves bonkers. Is what's going to happen. So they have the big reunion, and they have a basketball game. That's going to be the first. Now, how they're going to raise $500,000 on a basketball game, an art show, at a production of Romeo and Juliet, and a celebrity song and dance without a celebrity yet. Right. I don't know how they thought. So they were going to be raising $125,000 per event. Is that how they play? So they thought that this basketball game in the gym of Brooklyn Heights High School was going to raise $125,000. And everybody thought it was sold out because somebody, we're not mentioning names, they think hacked the computer, and when people went to buy tickets, they were told that it was sold out. But
now, this is pretty sophisticated stuff for 1999.
1999. Well, by that was about the time we had moved over to the Windows. I remember working for the phone company, and about 3 or 4 years earlier is when we started moving over to those We weren't doing the MS-DOS anymore. The programs, we were actually moving to the Windows-based programs. So yeah, it could be.
Yeah, but they can do that, but they weren't preparing for Y2K.
Or maybe it was his job to prepare for Y2K. And because remember, wasn't there supposed to be like, what was it?
They didn't know about the impending disaster.
Didn't Bill Gates have like a reward? It was like several $1 million. Like, if you could solve Y2K, you'll get this. I vaguely remember that.
I just think this movie's unrealistic in that nobody's worried about Y2K. Got to be at least one person saving food in the basement, puts cans of food in the basement and a mattress.
So I was in 1999, Tim. I was aware of Y2K. Again, still not understanding exactly what was going to happen. I didn't know how. I didn't think the planes were going to fall out of the sky. Maybe they wouldn't be able to land. But
I think at least. I think one person at that school would have set up.
Just schedule only flights around midnight on January 1st, 2000. Wouldn't that be the solution? Just don't do anything.
But my point is, at least one character in this film would have set up a underground shelter at the school to be prepared for this.
Doing in 1999, Tim? Because
he ran down there New Year's Eve. He ran down there New Year's Eve. He's like, "This smells like Larry Hagman urine. What's going on?"
I don't recall I recall being aware of Y2K, but I don't recall it ruling my life for a whole year.
Okay.
But maybe it did. Were you stashing food? Is that what you were saying?
No.
Did you have a tinfoil hat?
I just wanted to get to my Larry Hagman urine joke. Okay, it's over now. That's all.
Okay.
We can go ahead to the fundraising. Let's just get to the Scottish kid dancing.
Yeah. So he does. Yeah. So he does his little Scottish dance. He has a CD. At least it wasn't a cassette. It was a CD. And he does his little Irish dance. His little Scottish dance, which I believe the Scots stole from the Irish. But anyway, he did his little Scottish dance, and he gets all this money, and he buys 30 raffles.
Because he dances so well, all these people gather around and give him money.
Yeah, because what African American people in Brooklyn, how often do they see dancers? You know what I mean? They never really see good dancers. But a white kid from Scotland,
yes, bad.
Maybe that's what they were amazed at. I didn't know a white kid could dance like that.
I looked it up, John, though. People were way into a different kind of dance. Do you remember what they were all dancing to in 1999?
It wasn't the Macarena, was it?
Nope, that's a little late. They were dancing to Ricky Martin's Livin' La Vida Loca.
Livin' La Vida Loca. Weren't we all living the love? Well, we all were living La Vida Loca, bracing for Y2K.
Yeah,
it was La Vida Loca. It was just crazy, crazy, crazy. We were going nuts. But yeah. Okay, so let's get on to the next fundraiser. So Cindy Williams is still scheming. And the next fundraiser is the art show, which goes off much better. They actually make money at that.
Because Patty Duke's daughter was able to hack the computer and out-hack the Sue Ellen.
Right.
Sue Ellen's helper, Norman.
She had an abscessed tooth. The dentist appointment got canceled. She went to get her JAG service. According to the computer now, she's never made a payment and got repossessed.
Patty Duke's daughter committed all sorts of cyber crimes. Granddaughter.
Yes. So they have the art, and they're loosening the Cindy Williams and her henchmen are loosening the pipes and water.
Norman with two ends.
And Hank, the French exchange student from high school, played by Jean Leclerc, who played Jeremy Hunter on All My Children.
Okay.
I thought he was one of Erica Kane's husbands, but I looked up Erica Kane's husbands, and she and Jeremy never actually got married. I think they were engaged. So he was not one of Erica Kane's 9 husbands, or maybe it was 10. But anyway, I think it was 9. I think it was 9 guys she married 11 times. So there were 2 guys she married twice. I can't remember, two were brothers. Anyway, it was a long story. But no, they never really did get married. So Kathy and the French exchange student are kind of reconnecting. Patty and her ex-husband are kind of rekindling. The art show is a success. They make a lot of money, and
they at least made a quarter of their money.
Yeah, they made like $250,000 in that night. You know, I was like, okay, well, whatever.
Wow.
Again, this is one of those.
They had some Warhols.
They did, yeah. Campbell Soups and Liz.
They had a Warhol.
They had Warhol.
Well, this ties together, John. Warhol, on one of his paintings, I'll give you some of my art history. He and his friends urinated on this, I think, the zinc plate or something. I don't know. And they let it dry, and that was part of the painting. And when they did the art sale, they're like, we couldn't get Andy Warhol, but we do have a Larry Hagman original for you.
That's what I was going to say. Oh my God. I am now operating on the same wavelength as Tim Hamilton. What else happened? Go ahead. Yeah, you fill in some gaps, Tim.
Well, you're at the part of the movie. You're at the part of the movie where what Sue Ellen does is she gets a woman to break up the Romeo and Juliet stars of the play. Yes. And I guess they could only use one bad word, which was maggot. She called the guy a maggot like 5 times after she found out he was cheating on her or just talking to a pretty girl.
They were making out. That in that very authentic Brooklyn accent.
Right. So that's what happened. She ruined her play, which was going to make the other $250,000.
The other $250,000 because she still doesn't have the celebrity for the celebrity song and dance event. And so
but here's the part where I just want to get in my I have no name for this. I call it Tim's comparisons. That's a terrible name. We'll think of something. But I have one of those comparisons. I have four comparisons. Listen. We'll think of a better name.
Okay.
But since Patty's cousin is from Scotland, I decided to write down 4 ways that the Patty Duke Show and Haggis are alike, or that the Patty Duke Show and Haggis have in common.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
And if you have any to add, you can add them, but here's mine. Okay. So both are banned from the U.S. The FDA feels that the Patty Duke Show is also an inedible meat byproduct. Number 2, both are filled with liver, heart, and lungs of sheep. Both Patty Duke and Haggis get stage fright and pee a little in their pants when they do so. Because you have to pay extra for the Haggis that has peed a little in his pants.
Is that true? I did not know that. Is that like Scottish dietary law? I did not know. Gosh, this is harder than keeping a kosher kitchen.
All urination episode. And both the Patty Duke Show and Haggis were unprepared for Y2K. So, I don't know if you have any others.
What is there to add to that? There really isn't. That was brilliant. That was just brilliant. No, that was wonderful. I love it.
Oh, you're being too nice.
Well, my mother was on I've Got to Be Nice. But you do understand why I'm in therapy now, don't you? Anyway.
Right. So the Romeo and Juliet, I guess.
So Patty and her ex-husband now are going to play Romeo and Juliet. But, of course, there's a catch. Patty has crippling stage fright. The drama teacher cannot act in front of an audience.
Is this what? Oh, yes. They flashback. This happened in the show.
TV
show.
Yes.
And they wear the most terrible wigs.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think if my research is correct, I think the only time she wore the wig was when she played Patty. Kathy was.
Oh, no, I mean in this Romeo and Juliet.
In the Romeo. Okay. I thought. Okay, I thought like the flashback scenes. But they weren't terrible wigs. They were just terrible. And Richard, God bless his heart, the ex-husband, he really gave it his all. But Patty is just frozen. And then Kathy
I was watching that shake.
The show must go on.
I had a tear in my eye.
She is going to play Juliet, and they both come out on the balcony at the same time. So there are two Juliets on the balcony.
You're missing a part that she got stage fright, of course, and her twin's like, I'll go do it. And backstage, Patty has this inner dialogue that she has to stop letting fear control her life.
Yes.
And that's when they both appear on the stage with no explanation. Like one didn't see the other.
One's going to save the cousin, and the other's going to face her fear. And both are well-intentioned, but when they meet, wackiness ensues.
Yes.
But then they raise another $125,000, apparently,
I guess,
from this production of Romeo and Juliet, because the money is still rolling in. Now they have to get. Now it's like, they're going to
bust. Sue Ellen's going to bust the water pipes and ruin the.
And she
get the building shut down. Am I jumping ahead?
No. And she pays off the building. I'm going to assume she paid off the building inspector. Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
With sex, it was implied with.
Was it really? Oh, okay, that's what I thought. Apparently, Sue Ellen had been married and divorced 5 times. Did you catch that? That was also. Well, she'd been married 5 times.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So.
And they called her fat. Like there was a fat joke. Nice Patty Duke. That was her insult.
Yeah.
Not funny.
Because they're still telling jokes from like 1962. Because that's really what people who are watching Patty Duke Still Rockin' in Brooklyn Heights want to say. You couldn't get too far from the formula because basically let's face it, nobody was just like, ooh, a Patty Duke reunion movie. It's not like like some kids would be like, like people lining up for this Avatar concert in London, and apparently it's very successful. The King and Queen of Sweden came.
Looks like it.
It wasn't like that when they announced this Patty Duke movie. People were like, it's like not like the Beatles reuniting or like the Stones touring again. It's like, so
people were like, I'll be drunk that night and on the couch.
Yeah.
I guess I'll watch that. So
now she's got to find a celebrity.
You're speaking of gross old stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
We'll get to the celebrity, but her dad, played by
William Schaller.
He's very old at this point, gray hair. He's always walking around in this movie trying to convince people to get back together. I don't know if you noticed that. Mm-hmm. Just like having little talks. And when he had a talk with his daughter, I think she was like, "Yeah, I'm going to save the school," and he had jobs for him, and he's like, "Yeah, I want these." Anyway, he says it gets my old man juices flowing. He said that, and
yeah. Well, the wife makes.
I just had to point that out.
And the wife makes a Viagra.
Yeah, she makes a Viagra joke.
Comment later at the dinner table with everybody around. Well, dear, that's why they have Viagra or something like that.
That was the raciest part of that movie, except for Sue Ellen paying off the guy with sex. Paying off the buildings.
Yeah, that. But okay, so now she's got to find. So she's going to look for a former student named. What was his name? Stone Adams. Is that what his name was? I can't even remember.
I was going to let you keep track of that.
It was some. I'm so confused at this point right now. It was. I'm blaming it on the date. I'm blaming it on the over-the-counter cold medicine. But I think. Okay. So she decides she's going to sneak in and she's going to get Stone to be at the charity auction, and this cop keeps stopping her. She can't get by the cop. So Kathy, who is with her, and by the way, did you notice that? So they borrow the ex-husband's truck to go up to Queens to this movie set,
right?
To find this ex-drama student of Patty's, and Kathy drives, and I'm like thinking, okay, did she ever drive in the United States before? Because I don't think I don't ever remember her driving in like the original series. She's driving on on the opposite side of the road. She's
running people down.
She's running people. Really was picking a Scottish woman to drive from Brooklyn to Queens the smartest idea that anybody ever had.
Yeah.
Maybe they were preoccupied with Y2K. Maybe they were preoccupied
slamming
with
on the brakes,
and they weren't thinking straight. Here, you drive.
Yes,
Here you drive, Bonnie Lassie. There you go. I did notice that too. I was like, why did they? Because they
slammed on the brakes every time she saw a haggis in the road.
She No, it's not a sheep, Kathy. It's not sheep. It's a rat. Just keep going. Our rats are big here. Don't you remember? Yeah. So, and of course, you never actually really see Kathy driving. Like, she gets let out of the truck. Patty gets out of the passenger side of the truck. She goes, "You park it. I'll go find him." And it's like a body double there. You can tell because they couldn't spend too much money.
That's quite a detail you kept track of there.
Well, it's just sometimes things like that pop out of me, like the Roger Corman Studio Store.
No, I saw that,
which I thought was hilarious.
Yes,
but the other, so she gets Kathy to dress up in the outfit and hat that she was wearing when the cop saw her. The cop thinks it's her for the third time. He's like, "Hey, lady, you want to get arrested?" And while the cop is distracted with Kathy, she sneaks in, puts on a hat and a coat. And somehow just
please skip the part where she's okay.
Oh, who cares at this point? She plops herself down just as an extra. Just as an extra in this scene. And that was kind of funny too, because she's like, all of a sudden, like you see her and she's like really getting into the scene. It was so funny because they're starting to play the music and how it's going to look like when it's a movie.
No,
and she's sitting behind there like, her head bopping up and her head behind the shoulder of the actor, and the ex-student is supposed to get hit with a breakaway chair, and she mixes up the chairs, and the other actor hits the ex-student with a real chair and knocks him out, and both Patty and Kathy get arrested, but the movie people decide not to press charges when they get released. So Kathy's son and Patty's granddaughter, if I figure out their relationship correctly, I believe they are second cousins once removed, I think is how that works out. They are down at the Staten Island Ferry, and you're telling me, Tim, they use the real Staten Island Ferry? Is that what you're saying? Oh, you're not saying that. No. Are you sure? You're absolutely sure.
I'm not saying that at all. I don't know what that ferry was.
First of all, they keep the Staten Island Ferry here in the winter. It's a broken down boat. They keep the Staten Island Ferry here in the winter, but the Staten Island Ferry doesn't run in the winter?
I guess not.
I mean, come on.
That was just a rundown boat.
I mean, how do these people get back and forth? The Staten Island Ferry doesn't run in the winter. I mean, this is really stretching reality. An old ferry. All these people planning their trips to New York. All these people planning their trips to New York in the winter, like, oh, but we can't go on the Staten Island Ferry. Why can't we go on the Staten Island Ferry? Well, they have a dock somewhere during the winter. Well, where'd you hear that? Well, I heard it on the Patty Duke reunion movie, Still Rockin' in Brooklyn Heights. It doesn't run during the winter.
That was just some rundown boat, John.
Mm-hmm.
They said, you can clean it up. Larry Hagman was here for a while. It smells like you got to clean this up. You can use it.
Larry Hagman was here. We're just leaving it at that. You figure it out on your own. Now, there might be some stray acid lying around, so, have at it. That could help with your party. But, yeah. So the Scottish son, Kathy's son, impersonates the mayor. How he got, like, the cop's cell phone number, I still don't understand. But he calls the cop that shoot him away, saying, "Well, you got it. Was Liam McAllister there?" And so anyway, so he cons himself. They get the Staten Island Ferry, and they have, the big gala event and the party, and the surprise is revealed finally that Patty has. Yeah. I can't even remember the name of the award right now. She
won a teacher award as a plaque or something.
Yeah, Teacher of the Year award. But it had something.
And that was it? That was the big secret. No money.
That was the big surprise. A plaque.
Maybe they're going to give her money.
Yeah, she was very thrilled.
Or tell her that she was going to get cloned, or
they could have given her. They could have given her a Larry Hagman piss portrait. That would have been. That would
one of those
sold that. That's a Warhol original.
Or give her some discs to protect her from Y2K.
Exactly. I mean,
but anyway, the mayor shows up, who obviously is American hero and America's mayor, based on Rudy Giuliani. I don't know if you noticed. He was mayor when this was filmed.
Yes. Back before he went total batshit crazy. Yes.
That was
yes.
Our beloved mayor. And to give you some, I'll give you an art minute. Do you remember Giuliani wanted to shut down Sensations, the art show at the Brooklyn Museum? You may have been in North Carolina.
I do recall reading that. Well, yes, but I still got news from New York.
Because the one artist painted the Virgin Mary with elephant dung.
Oh, yes, I do vaguely remember.
And I was going to say, you'll learn nothing listening to this episode about Patty Duke, but so I wanted to insert a little art history. Did you know that they used to make certain colors? One color was called mummy brown because they ground up mummies and made brown pigment out of it. And white flake, white was made by sticking lead strips in confined spaces with vinegar and animal dung. That's how they made flake white. So the Virgin Mary had been painted using dung and dead bodies in history
since the beginning of time.
Yes. So
there you go. So get off your high horse, or in this case, your high elephant. Rudy Giuliani is the moral to this story.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Things didn't work out for him. So
yeah, because things. Whatever happened to Rudy? You never hear about him anymore. I haven't heard about him in years.
Yeah.
So we're almost to the end of this movie. Thank goodness. So basically, Cindy Williams.
Go ahead.
Basically, Cindy Williams, the Sue Ellen character. Basically, I don't understand why they didn't just take her off in handcuffs, because if the mayor has this evidence that she's been collecting rent on a building that's still operating as a school, is that how I understood it? Anyway,
fair trial, innocent until proven guilty, John.
Yeah, but you still, Jesus, if you got that much money, you're a flight risk. I think they'd slap some cuffs on her. You at least have to pay some bail and turn in your passport. You think they'd go through that. But then again, this movie does suspend reality in a world where nobody's preparing for Y2K, and there's no Staten Island Ferry during the winter, and people are getting rich off of Larry Hagman piss paintings.
Yes.
You've got to be allowed to believe it. So anyway, basically they play, and everybody lives happily ever after.
Well, you missed. They almost had a hilarious ending. They almost had a pie fight.
That's right.
They just accidentally got pies. But this movie's too highfalutin for any Three Stooges tomfoolery.
Right. Well, they kind of. If Sue Ellen and Norman both got big, they were big pies too. Those were humongous pies.
But come on, how much does it cost to have a pie fight at the end of the movie? Come on, this movie had nothing, awesome. And they're just 2 pies to the face. I was like, come on, give me a pie fight.
No, I don't know. Maybe even Patty Duke.
This is a Sidney Sheldon production.
Even Patty Duke had to draw the line somewhere. She's like, no, I'm not doing the pies.
So that was her big award, and I guess the school was saved, and they still fired all the teachers, though.
That's right, because then they just got they're just going to have student teachers who they didn't have to pay, and
Y2K happened, and that school just fell into the earth anyway.
Well, that was the proposed sequel. That was the proposed sequel. If they could have gotten everybody, Patty Duke still rocking in Brooklyn Heights was going to be the name of that.
Still rocking into the ground.
Still rocking in Brooklyn Heights.
Did you have quizzes for me?
I don't have a quiz, but
I have our boring one. But if you have something,
no, go ahead. Let's do a quiz.
Well, you said butt. Tell me what was your butt?
Well, no, I just was thinking we hadn't mentioned Maude Finley in this episode yet, but our crack research team here in the reference library at City Bimco Productions did unearth.
You talking about Charlie, the tuba playing unicyclist?
Well, Charlie's second cousin once removed Estelle, who for some reason we have to give a job to, where it's in Charlie's contract. Right. She did unearth, and it only aired once. It's like the Daisy commercial that LBJ. Remember the girl with the daisy and the nuclear mushroom cloud?
Mm-hmm.
They only ran that once in 1964. Well, also in 1964, they only ran this episode once, but it was the series finale of the Patty Duke show. And maybe you recall this, Tim. I don't know. It doesn't sound like you were a huge Patty Duke fan. But my mother, being close personal friends with Patty Duke in high school, we religiously watched the show all the time. Yeah. There you go. But anyway, so the premise of the Patty Duke show was that Martin Lane's newspaper, the New York Chronicle, was losing money, so he takes out $1 million life insurance policy on his daughter Kathy. But he still feels like he might have to have a look-alike, like for family functions and things like that. So he has his identical twin brother Kenneth send his daughter Kathy over from the UK. And then he hires a contract assassin, Maud Finley, to kill his daughter. And she takes a job as an English teacher. Her front is she's an English teacher, perhaps even a drama teacher, inspired Patty to become an English and drama teacher.
How old would Maud be at this point?
Oh, Maud would probably have been about 40, late 30s, early 40s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But she's a proven track record as a trained killer, as we've established in our synopses of the Lost Maud episodes.
People think we're making these up.
No. This is in the Television Academy of Arts and Sciences library.
I know.
These hidden gems.
George O'Connor thinks we were making this up.
Well, George O'Connor, you know what? We are not making it up. This is the God's honest truth. But there are several attempts at Patty's life throughout the series. There was one time where they gave her a poisoned hot dog because, as we all know, a hot dog made her lose control.
So she just got excited and dropped the hot dog on the ground.
Guys, I never did eat it.
She can't get it into her mouth.
And Maud Finley was like, "Curses foiled again." Patty Lane.
Hot dog went into her hair, everywhere but her mouth.
Everywhere but her mouth.
Not everywhere. Oh, your mom's listening. Let's move on. Don't read into.
But anyway, in the final season, Martin's conscience gets the better of him, and he decides to just cancel the contract with Maud. And Maud, enraged, turns Kathy, the Scottish cousin, into Immigration and Naturalization Services, or INS.
Oh.
And Kathy, not wanting to return to a damp, dreary flat in Glasgow, takes off her jacket to reveal a vest covered in explosives. You'll never take me alive, copper. This was a very suspenseful final. This is why they only showed it the one time. It's like the Daisy commercial for LBJ's election campaign with the mushroom puppet.
You said that.
It was so upsetting to viewers. They could only show it once and only once. And so you never take me alive, coppers. And to create confusion, because so the snipers don't know who to shoot, she handcuffs herself to Patty, and Patty finally tearfully, recounts everything they've done over the last 3 years, and they've gotten so close. And finally, Patty convinces Kathy to give up, and the final scene is Kathy being let off in handcuffs.
Oh, I thought they were going to stay handcuffs, and nobody would know which was which. They're like, well, we can't send them both to jail.
Well, that was it. Well, but Patty's okay. Where's the key? Where's the key? And the funny part, they never addressed any of that in the reunion movie.
No.
And I'm sure it wasn't Kathy only running with the law.
At least that's one person that survived Maud's wrath. Like, she lived.
Well, yeah, but, and then Maud, after her cover was blown, fled to Tuckahoe, where she was safe for several more years.
And perhaps Kathy learned to drive in the U.S. when she was here. And then when she went back to Scotland, she was driving on the wrong side of the road and running people down. For a little while. She did that. She does that a little bit in each.
Which is why maybe that's how her husband died. He was just like, he was out, he's out taking a jog in the neighborhood. Here comes his wife driving on the wrong side of the road. Boom.
She swerved and missed some haggis.
Now suddenly
she went to run down the haggis that was in the road.
Suddenly she's hasn't been back to Brooklyn Heights in decades, and suddenly now she's got to go back. Suddenly now she's got to flee Scotland. You're probably right, Tim.
I think, she had a good excuse. She swerved and missed the haggis. You don't want to hit haggis.
You don't want to hit
Scotland.
haggis.
That's okay.
We should get T-shirts that say that you don't want to hit haggis with like a sheep with like a deer in the headlights look on their face. You don't want to hit haggis.
Well,
Well, this was
I'm going to
quite an
say
episode.
we should wrap it up because it's been an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
is
no,
that
it's
counting?
been...
I was going to say, does that count my mother?
Well, a little bit, yes. We took a break.
We do want to thank my mom.
Well, we'll skip the quiz. We'll thank your mom. Yes, thank you, Mrs. Not Mrs.
Patty, our Patty.
Miss Castler.
Our favorite Patty.
Patty, for being
Patty
on the show.
Castler, for being on the show. No, thank you, Mom.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's the end of the show.
Email
us at SETIBIMCO with an E at Gmail. SETIBIM at Twitter. SETI_BIMCO on Instagram. And if you like our show, give us a review and or share our show so other people like our show. We just got a listener in Colombia. And the person listening in Russia has come back for more. So whoever that is, I hope you're doing okay there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have a guest, I think, next week. All right. Talk to you next week.
All right, Tim. Bye-bye.
SETI BIMCO is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.